Booyaka.
You're listening to Real Crime, the Movie Sleuth podcast.
Chris, if you were a baby seal right now, I'd club the shit out of you.
It's not nice.
No, that's really bad. That was the meanest thing I could think of, though.
That was
like the most
mean.
horrible thing I could think of. Which
should be nice to me.
I should actually be very clear that I would never club a baby seal.
Especially right around Christmas time. I mean,
yeah.
Listen, Mara made me watch Christmas Blood, and she bummed me out, so I'm not in a good mood tonight, so I'm going to throw her under the bus.
That movie made me feel so good.
Yeah?
It did.
Episode 105 of Real Crime.
Real Crime.
Welcome. Chris destroyed the beginning.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, I can tell.
Why do you do this? Why do you people torture me?
Because you're a bastard.
Okay, all right. Just as long as you have a reason for it, I'm happy. So yeah, this is 105. We got a really fun show tonight. Kind of a different thing for the holidays, but I think there's going to be some tie-ins, I'm sure, because this is with what we're dealing with tonight. Boy, you talk about a library. I can't wait to talk about this. There's
so much. We're splitting it into 3 episodes.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going by decade, just like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that part.
Oh, yeah. Tonight's going to be 70s and 80s. Decade.
Well, I'm glad I got...
I'm letting you know now.
I watched all the brand new stuff today. Yeah. I was ready. No, we have our chat thing, and sometimes I just, you guys get going, and I'm like, I hate you guys. Mute, leave me alone, and I just run away from it. And I come back, and you guys are like, I look at the thing, it's like 127 messages. I'm like, oh, yeah, not going back through.
We're not
that.
even talking about the podcast. We're talking about like cheese or something.
Yeah, stop. Oh my God. No, I'm glad that wasn't too bad. Yeah. Well, you've kind of given them a taste of what may be happening tonight, but we haven't really let the whole thing out. So that's cool. We got a lot to talk about before.
Did we add Mara into the chat?
Yeah, we did. That poor kid.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, this poor girl.
Good. I just wanted to make sure you were.
She showed up again.
Yep.
I did. I'm glutton for punishment.
So we're going to be getting to that here pretty soon, but we have our sponsors we need to discuss.
Yeah, first thing, of course, as we always mention.
Pay the bills.
The Flint Institute of Arts.
Yeah,
hoping to do a giveaway for them this week. Yeah,
I've officially moved in. I have my
Which wing are you staying in?
The left wing.
Sweet.
Yeah.
The best wing.
The best wing. Yeah, I've moved in. I'm settling in right now. What a wonderful place. If you haven't been there, you're out of your mind. Really, you need your head examined. You need to be institutionalized.
Yeah.
You need help.
The exhibits there are really, really cool, so we definitely suggest getting out there for that. Also, we got to mention our fine local friends at Sellerman's. Mm. Wonderful stuff.
This is the sounds you hear there, too. Oh. Not that sound. Oh, crap. Not that sound.
Did you just explode on yourself?
I just exploded. I didn't mean that was not planned. I didn't mean that.
He's really excited to be here, too.
No, Sellerman's, if you haven't been there yet. I think it was last night. They unleashed their Krampus, a new flavor called Krampus. You got to check this out. I'm going to be going by there. If I don't go by there tomorrow, I'm going to go by there Thursday for sure to try the new flavor they have on the menu.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, those guys rule. Go there.
And then our other sponsor, last but not least, projectorscreen.com. Make sure you check those guys out. Doing your Christmas shopping. Mm-hmm. Visit them. They're nice people.
I know you don't have you have to have a towel down here somewhere, Chris.
Not for you, I don't.
Oh, God, this sucks. All right, moving along.
Yeah. So, news this week.
Yes.
News. Really not a lot of news this week, but we definitely want to mention Aquaman. Aquaman made $3 million in screenings on Saturday night.
Really?
Yeah, which was pretty huge. So,
for like the Amazon Prime screenings and all that?
Yeah. So they sold $3 million in tickets domestically for Aquaman on... last Saturday night. Sorry.
They're rich.
I'm doing 8 million things at once here. The Joker movie from Todd Phillips actually just completed filming yesterday. Last month they had reported that it was done, but it actually continued shooting for another month. So he posted to Instagram last night that they are finally done with that.
Congratulations.
Is anybody excited about this movie?
I'm interested in it.
I'm interested. I'm kind of...
We'll see.
I'll
it's like
watch the
40th
trailer.
Joker we've had.
Yeah.
So
I'm so tired of comic adaptations in general. But I mean, if it looks interesting.
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, because I've been burned out forever. It's one. Okay, I don't want to turn this into a debate, but
yeah,
man, there's a lot.
There's a lot,
man.
There is a lot.
DC just can't get their shit straight.
I know if it's
Not
your
at all.
life. I mean, I guess
truth.
you got to be really excited about that
I
stuff.
wish I was too.
Yeah, I'd love to be because look at all
Right.
the fun you could be having.
Oh, I
right
know.
now, right? But it's not my thing though.
Well,
so.
he's a great actor, so hopefully it comes out well.
Yeah.
Penny Marshall passed away today.
What a sucky
Sad.
bit of news.
Yeah.
75 years old, complications from diabetes.
Poor
She
kid.
had lung cancer, went to her brain in 2009, and
Yeah,
so that's very
Poor kid.
sad.
been a rough go.
Yeah.
And what a super
All respect.
talent, too.
I'll respect her.
Was.
Great director, great actor, great writer, and great comedian, too. So, little part of my childhood died with that.
That was the first thing I thought. I'm like, man, Laverne and Shirley, holy shit, dude.
Yeah,
that
we
was
used
like the best show ever. We loved watching that show when we were younger.
Hello.
Like Lenny and Squiggy.
Yeah.
Forget it. That was like
They're great,
Those
yeah.
guys were, and that was just that show. You know, there was one show, not to go down the weeds, not to smoke all the weed on this. I don't know, whatever. There was that was one of them shows growing up. I mean, it was completely hilarious the whole time, but there was one episode they did, and I've seen this happen with a lot of sitcoms, right? They'll have one episode, or maybe a couple of them, where it gets really dead bone serious. And they had one of those episodes where it was like a relationship thing, and they went after each other. Like not Laverne and Shirley, they went after this dude who was like being a total dick.
Yeah.
And they just and it got serious. Like they were crying and stuff. It looked really good. I've seen this happen with sitcoms, and that's one of the episodes that sticks out. I mean, I should be talking about all the funny stuff, but I want to think of all the negativity.
Well, they always have back in day sitcoms would have that one serious episode about one of the characters is on drugs or something. Or,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So they got a little message.
There was an episode of He-Man, the He-Man cartoon, where the girl, one of the characters, I remember that she was getting a magic potion.
Yeah.
That made her feel awesome. And then she stopped. She would lose the magic potion, and she started feeling lame again.
Yeah.
And of course, the end, we know it was. And they literally at the end were like, "Hey guys, kids, don't do drugs.
Yep.
This is what drugs does to you. You can't fly in the sky anymore if you don't have." If you take drugs. So, yeah, I mean, serious topics. And just one of those ones that just sticks out to me from my childhood is just this really brutal argument these people had, right? And it was really real. I mean, that's how good these people were. So, yeah, all respect on that one. That was a real bummer. I saw that. And, yeah, just on Facebook, and that's, you see that. I mean, it's pretty much happens every week now, if not sometimes twice a week. Somebody... With that way information travels, we just know when people pass away.
Immediately.
Immediately. And I watched my feed for a couple minutes today, and just people all day long, dude, oh my God, it's such a bummer. So, rest in peace.
Other bit of news, Star Wars news, a little bit hit today. The Mandalorian, the show that's coming to Disney's streaming service, Disney Plus. They're saying the show is actually going to feature the classic bounty hunters from The Empire Strikes Back. So Bosk and IG-88 are going to be in the series.
This will be interesting.
Which I love it. I love that idea. Seriously,
Look how excited he is.
Yeah, I am
Just
really
jumping
excited
out of his
about
skin.
it. Yeah. And then last bit of news, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix was just renewed for a season 3 and season 4. And they're already filming season 2. So that's our news for the week.
I'm right there.
Yeah. Good stuff. In new releases this week, we've got Bumblebee, which our review is already posted for that. Michelle wrote that. Aquaman. Blake is at the screening for that tonight. And then Mary Poppins Returns, which you wrote the review for that too. And then Welcome to Marwen comes out this week also, which I think I'm going to the screening for that tomorrow, barring nothing.
We were talking about the
really
mule
happens.
outside.
Oh, yeah, dude.
That's already out.
Yeah, that came out last week.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to get out and see that. I can't miss Clint Eastwood.
Good stuff.
And Bumblebee is on my to-do list also this week.
It wasn't half bad.
Yeah.
It's way better than all the other trash fire Transformers movies. It's like average, and that makes it way better already than
that shows you how far the bar went down.
It's a very
on
low
that.
bar.
Yeah, that's sad too. It's really sad. You're right, Mara. Yeah. All right. Cool. So that's what we got out for this week. Suggested viewing. What do we got here? What do you got, Chris?
Well, I'm actually going to suggest The Mule because...
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally killed your thunder on that.
It's all right. It's a great film. Clint Eastwood is 88 years old. He starred and directed in this movie. The thing I like about it is that it kind of touches on some of the themes from Gran Torino again. He does some of the like racist stuff. Some of
my
the comments
God. Yeah.
again very similar to Gran Torino.
Walt Kowalski.
Yeah, but he's absolutely amazing in this movie. The entire cast is really good. Bradley Cooper plays the main FBI agent in this movie. And it's really cool because Bradley Cooper has tried to kind of mold his career after Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
He looks up to him. Clint Eastwood is his idol. And it's really cool seeing the two of them play off each other on screen. So kind of two different generations acting against each other. Really, really cool.
Cool. Yeah,
So-
I really need to see that.
Strongly suggested viewing. Strongly suggested viewing.
Outstanding. Michelle.
Well, to piggyback off you guys being sick of comic book movies, I'm suggesting Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But it's like really good. Even if you don't like Spider-Man or you're not into Spider-Man, it's very approachable. It's also the introduction of Miles Morales, which is the Puerto Rican Spider-Man. And it's just it's animated and it's like got this crazy style that looks exactly like a graphic novel but like animated. Like it has like the boxes, you know, like when they're talking. It has like the action lines.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like it's like a mixture between CGI and like cell shading.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything that looks like that before though. But it looks literally like there's like this filter over everything. It looks like it's actual comic book paper too.
Okay.
And it introduces all these multiverse Spider-Man, like Spider-Man Noir, who's voiced by fucking Nicolas Cage.
Oh.
There's Spider-Ham. There's Spider
Wait, the
Gwen.
Spider-Ham is in this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, there's like there's like another multiverse version of Peter Parker, but he's like a crappy version of Peter Parker, and he wears sweats. And he wears like a Spider-Man costume, and he's kind of fat, so he wears sweats.
Yeah.
It's like hilarious
pretty
and
cool.
really well
Wow.
done. The music's fantastic, and the visuals are like absolutely mind-boggling, like crazy. Like it's like breaking new ground for animation. Honestly, like even if you don't like superheroes, if you're an animation buff, you'll be super into this movie.
You know, here's the thing with the comic stuff, though, too. And this is one of the things I may have talked about in the past. My problem with comic movies is I've watched a handful of them. I've seen Deadpool.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen Ant-Man. These are ones that Amber's just brought home and just we watched them on a Sunday afternoon, right? And I enjoyed the living hell out of them. However, the problem for me, and this is where I think I have my issues, is I'm afraid if I start like, oh man, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I fall down a gaping rabbit hole and I have to go and I'm going to just get obsessed. That's my problem with that.
Welcome to like me, but my whole life. Like
Yeah, I know. And I
I've always been obsessed with comic
Right.
books, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like it's just another day to me. It's like
That's my big thing, though, is like, like Lord of the Rings and, the Hobbit stuff and everything. Amber's like, why don't you watch this stuff? I'm like, because if I do, I know I'm going to be so enamored by it. I'm going to just be living it for like a year. And I don't have that kind of fucking time anymore. I try. I just can't do it anymore. But yeah, I'm sure, like that, what you just talked about, Spider-Man, I'm sure I'd love to see that.
It's actually like I would say it's a standout comic movie. Like it's different.
sounds like it.
And it's
Yeah.
very well written. It's incredibly edited. Like it's just every single thing about it is absolutely 100% top notch. And it's got a hilarious after credit scene too. It's just so fantastically done. Like I was blown away. Like I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool from the trailer, and I watched it, and it was like fucking amazing. Like it was like blowing my mind. Seriously.
Have you ever seen any of those like the motion graphic novels?
Yeah, I have one
it-
for Watchmen.
Is it like that? It kinda
It's like that, but smoother. Like it's hard to explain. Like it looks like that. It looks like a comic book, but animated. Like it's got the texture of the paper. Like it literally looks like comic book paper, but it's animated. Like it's really hard to
sounds
explain.
very interesting.
It's like I've never seen anything that looked like that before. Like I was like, whoa, because I'm kind of like more of like a 2D cell animation type of a person, and I'm not kind of into the CG as much. But this is like a mixture of the two, but in a really dynamic, like interesting and creative way. And they use it just like comics with like paneling, splash pages. Like it's like a comic book come to life, basically.
I
It's
want to see
awesome.
this.
That
Yeah.
does sound cool.
Yeah, I want to see this.
It's really good.
How about you, Mara?
Okay, I got a throwback, and this is inspired by Penny Marshall's death, and I'm going to say A League of Their Own.
Oh yeah. it's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
It's, I mean,
Fantastic.
one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah. It's a riot.
It really is. I mean, it's a sentimental film, even without have, just her passing. It's got some great acting. Tom Hanks, hilarious in it. And of course she directed Big too. So
Another great flick.
But A League of Their Own is my pick for this week. And I don't really have much to say about it other than
it's a great movie.
Than just like watch it.
It's a solid movie. It's just a solid, fun movie to watch. Some movies, you can't, I find myself when it comes to movies, music, whatever. Sometimes you run into something like that. I find that really interesting. Where you just run into something and you go, "That's just great."
Yeah.
I don't need to dig too deep into this. There's not much explanation that needs to be tried to be discovered. It's a great flick.
It's one of those movies that's got just like, and I really like this as a great ensemble cast.
Yeah.
Everyone's got great chemistry together.
Yeah.
They just bounce right off. Lori Petty and Gina Davis are like, they look nothing alike, but you believe that they're sisters.
Mm-hmm.
The way that
Madonna's in it.
Who?
Madonna?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Madonna's in it. She's great. Rosie O'Donnell.
Rosie O'Donnell. I was
Rosie
going to say
O'Donnell.
Rosie O'Donnell was in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Cool flick.
Yeah.
Great movie.
What do you got this week, Scott?
I actually watched something. I totally did some homework this
Hell
week.
yeah.
I actually, thankfully, it was only like 6 episodes, but I viewed that An Innocent Man that was on Netflix. Because I'm just a sucker for all the insanely, the trash friggin' murder, what do you call it, real true crime stuff.
Yeah.
So I was excited to watch this. This seemed really interesting. And there's a ton of hype behind it also. And I'm going to, you know what, I don't want to spoil it for people, and I won't. But I came out the other end of it going, okay, it's obvious to me that Netflix has found a real winner with Making a Murderer, right? Making a Murderer. So they're obviously going to be cranking out some more of that content. This is interesting. However, they probably could have crammed this into like 3 episodes. It don't have the scope and depth of that story of Making a Murderer, right? I did enjoy it. It's interesting material nonetheless, but there were some spots where I'm like, this doesn't really apply to the case. Like, but watch it. I don't want to turn people off because it's really cool, but I'm just kind of seeing it for where it is though too. It's obvious that they got a real big winner. I mean, the hype behind Making a Murderer, the original one especially, my goodness, man, nobody couldn't. I watched. I was like, I gotta watch this. There's just no way I can't watch this. So it's obvious that they're capitalizing on that, and good for them. And I did enjoy it. So if you're into true crime, that's something for you to check out for sure.
Cool.
Yeah,
I gotta check that out too.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So yeah, all right. So the big reveal.
Yeah.
People are freaking out right now about what we're going to talk. The talk has been so hot this week on the street. Oh man, it's been nuts. I walked into the drugstore this morning and 10 people stopped me going, "What are you guys going to talk about tonight?" It's everything. We got to know, Scott. We have to know. I'm like, well, you just have to listen tonight, and we'll let you know. You'll find out then. So what we're going to talk about tonight? Well, you know what? I'm kind of thrown off the kilter now too. You said, Michelle, we're doing like.
We're doing 3 episodes with 3 different eras, and this first episode's covering 70s and 80s.
Okay.
And then
of what?
Of Stephen King
movies. Question I have.
We can include TV.
And TV.
Because
and miniseries, like those mini TV.
Well, we're going to be here till the end of next year.
Well, that's why we split it into 3 episodes.
3 episodes won't do it.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Well, we're going to split it up.
Well, I'm glad you're in charge, Michelle. That's cool. No,
goddamn producers screwing everything up.
Well, yeah, no. As I said, though, I mean, this is a lot of. I mean, I looked at the entire list and I'm like, my God. I didn't realize I saw all this stuff. Holy crap,
Well, I'm just looking at his IMDb page.
Oh, it's brutal.
277 different film and TV works.
Yeah.
Including short films, anthological stuff. But 277 different projects that have been put to film in some form or another.
Absolutely.
And I would say we're covering like when he was at his peak too.
Oh,
like
yeah,
70s
totally.
and 80s is like peak Stephen King.
Yeah.
Hell
90s
yeah.
is pretty popular too, and then it starts tapering off, as you get into the aughts. But
Now, my one concern I have with this though too, before we dive into this, is I think with Stephen King, the favorite choice sometimes where conversations go with Stephen King adaptation films or even the made-for-TV stuff is people will always kind of fly back on top of the source material and say, well, I like the famous line with Stephen King material. Oh, I like the book better.
Yeah.
You hear that all the time, which is a lot of times, yeah, it's true because the books can go into a lot more depth.
Right.
But I don't know. Are we gonna do that stuff too? Or are we just gonna stick with the movies tonight?
Well,
I think stick with
it's-
movies.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna organically come up if we.
Oh yeah,
read the book,
yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to force it, but it's like, oh boys, I thought about that today. I'm like, oh man, this might get kind of weird with the source material stuff. So we want to take this chronological, or are we just gonna want to just take the baton and pass it around?
I think chronological is going to be the only
Yeah.
way to do it.
Okay. Well, I only have the movies on my list, so
Oh.
somebody better freaking line this up.
We got it all.
The only one,
The movies
the only
or something.
TV series I think that they did in the 80s was Salem's Lot, or I think that was even 79.
Yes, it was
79?
79.
Yeah,
Yep.
That was a TV series in the 70s. Okay.
The 90s is where you started doing a lot of those TV
Right.
series, so that would be
Okay,
prevalent. in the
Salem's
next one.
Lot. What's there to say about Salem's Lot?
I've never seen that.
Is that the very first movie that was adapted from his work?
No, it was not.
No.
Carrie came before that.
Carrie was Carrie was
Yeah.
76, but Salem's Lot, we've talked about that a handful of times here in the past.
Yes.
Hands down, I remember sitting with my mother with the window scene.
It's funny. I remember sitting with your mother, too. You knew it was
You
coming.
do know we're on.
Yeah.
My mom might be watching
Hi,
this because it's on
Mom.
Facebook Live.
Yeah.
It says log off, like right now. She's like, exit the chat room.
No, I remember me and my mother just having the daylight scared out of us from the window scene we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I got the DVD of that too. I bought that, and it's the movie, but they break it? I'm trying to remember. Did they break it up like in 2 parts or something for
The movie,
Yes.
the movie was longer, like more episodes.
Yeah, I'm
But
trying.
the movie is just the movie, like.
I thought it was the same thing, but they just like
Did
broke
they
it up.
combine them up to?
Yes.
Yeah,
one
is that what
movie?
they did?
Yeah.
It's been a
Okay.
while. I think, as a matter of fact, I've done some reading on this, and don't quote me on this. I think there was a additional footage and the made-for-TV thing. The movie's it's a little more condensed, right? But I mean, some key scenes from Salem's Lot, as far from a visual perspective. I know you've seen this before, right, Michelle?
Yeah.
I know you have. I mean, Marlowe. I mean, come on, dude. That's like one of the most insane things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Obviously, modeled off of Nosferatu.
Yep.
Very heavily, but he had his own distinct look. I mean, you're seeing him in color, which is kind of cool. And I love the idea of like the fang tooth type thing, like the front teeth.
Yeah.
That the really protruding front, fangs. They were long, like really, really amplified for people to see. And just when his eyes, laying in the coffin, his eyes open, it scared the shit out of me. I mean, it's still very disturbing to look at that. Look at Marlowe, but the window scene, Lebian.
Oh, dude.
That's like
Ooh.
everybody
Dude.
remembers that, like.
Yeah.
Heavy
specifically.
shit, man. Heavy shit. And
Yeah.
I just remember that like one of the first times I was really disturbed, like laying in my bedroom that night. With the window, and you see the trees just kind of floating in the wind and the shadows, and you're like, "Oh my god!" It was disturbing.
The makeup effects in that movie were really disturbing, too.
Yeah, fantastic.
Really, really disturbing.
Yeah, when
So,
they transformed,
Yes.
that looked really good, and that was all practical too. So I mean, it looked really good. So yeah, I mean, Salem's Lot, as far as a story, it's a great story, and the movie, whether it's the made-for-TV or the theatrical version, we'll call it, fantastic. You can't really touch that stuff. I like the book better though.
Heard that a million times.
Yeah.
All right, let's revert back to Carrie, 1976.
I
This
liked
was
the
the first
movie
one.
better than the book.
Which one?
Carrie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think there was anything that the book gave. I mean, I saw the movie first, and I loved it. I saw it when I was, in middle school for the first time. So, I related as a young lady in that regard. And, then I read the book, and I was like, I just want to put the movie on. I don't know, Sissy Spacek's great.
Yeah, that really was.
Piper Laurie as her mom. I mean, you can't. That performance is like, she makes it, and
Yeah.
to read the book, it doesn't. I mean, it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
a novel, and then you have the cinematic performance by Piper Laurie.
Well,
so.
I do like the book, though, because the book gives more context as to Carrie's powers and like how she grew up with them and all the strange things that were happening around her that her mom was like explaining away. So I always liked that part of the book. I liked how the book was like they would tell the story via like newspaper articles and like obituaries and stuff. It was like this really interesting like way to like propel the narrative forward.
See, and you probably remember, I read this years and years ago, so you probably know it better than me, because I don't remember that. But I do, I liked the movie more, though. And
The
it could
movie's
just be because, I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, the Piper Laurie performance and like the visceralness of, you know, seeing the pig's blood and...
Yeah. Well, you're seeing it.
Yeah.
It's like
No.
a really interesting like meditation on puberty and how hard it is for women to go through puberty.
Oh, yeah.
And how religion kind of subjugates us and tells us our bodies are dirty. And like Carrie literally has her period. Like that period, was it Stuff It Up scene?
Yeah.
Plug
that's one of the
Plug
and
it
they're
up when she
throwing
has-
the tampons.
It's so like scary because you just think of like when you were a teenager and how they used to like force you to undress in front of everybody in the gym and stuff and shower, and like you're already embarrassed and everybody's body's
Yeah.
developing different, and like it's so like it totally revert back when you think like, oh
do.
god, it's so embarrassing. Like, and periods are embarrassing in general, you know, like when you're a kid. And
I think the book does amplify the cruelty
yeah,
a bit more. I mean, it's just you're going to be able to do that with a book.
Right. It goes more into, and what I do remember from based on you reminding me, it does go more into to Carrie and what she's going through and her
Yeah.
feelings, and you can't do that in a movie.
Yeah.
This in the same way. But the thing about, you know, the period, it is kind of like you do feel like before you have your first period as a girl, it's kind of like they're telling you it's going to happen, and
Yeah.
you are thinking like, what's going to happen to me after that? Like, it's scary. You're like,
Well, I can
am I
only-
going to be this different person now?
Yeah.
They're telling
Yeah.
me I'm a woman now,
Yeah.
and it really preys on that.
I can only imagine the anxiety that I mean, I'm obviously not a chick yet. I don't know. Maybe someday.
Soon.
Who knows?
Very soon.
Pretty easy to do it now. But I mean, I can only imagine the anxiety that a young lady would have at that time. I've thought about this before. I've talked, to my better half about it, and just having, this is what's happening to you. This is what you have to look forward to.
well, just imagine like waking up and you're like bleeding from your genitalia, like
Yeah.
out of nowhere. And you're
Yeah.
just like, who do I tell? Do I tell my mom?
Yeah.
And it's even amplified worse from Carrie's situation because her mom, she can't talk to her mom about that stuff because
Right.
her mom's so religious that she can't have normal conversations about like normal bodily functions,
Yeah.
like because everything's sexualized with her mom.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that like blood is such a recurring like theme in the movie.
Oh,
because,
God,
like
yeah.
the period in the beginning, and then just at the end when she's literally she's born again in blood again with blood dumped on her, which is like another like metaphor for
Yeah.
periods, and she just fucking wrecks everybody.
Yeah.
That is my favorite, most cathartic thing in a movie ever is when they dump the blood on her and Carrie thinks everybody's laughing at her and she just stops and goes like this and all the lights burst and shit. I was
Yeah.
like, oh fuck.
And those doors
all
slam.
gonna
I
laugh at
love
you.
it.
They're all
Oh
gonna
my
laugh at
god,
you.
it's
It was-
so good. You just like fuck everybody in that room. Even anybody that didn't mess with her, fuck them too.
They all
Everybody's gonna
died.
die
Everybody
now.
died.
They all
Everybody
had to
dies.
suffer. Yep.
That's what made it so cool. It's like there was like no one was spared.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even people that were
Wow.
nice to her, Carrie just looked straight at him and murdered
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. wreck it.
The girl there who set the whole thing up, I can't remember the character's name, but she ended up surviving.
I thought she got run up. Wait,
Amy Irving's character.
she did survive?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been
I'm
so
pretty
long.
sure
It's been
she
a long
did.
time.
She
the one
survives,
person
but
that gets
she's
left out.
like, well, she's on. Maybe we'll talk about this movie in a later episode, but her character's in The Rage, Carrie too.
Oh,
That's right.
Okay. So the one thing about this movie, it's, when you're young too, and that's when we saw this,
We're so old, dude.
we are really, really old. It was one of them first films I remember like really being invested in a character. Like I really was rooting for Carrie. Like, okay, she's getting fucked with. Michelle, we've had this conversation. We both took our share of getting fucked with when we were younger.
Yeah.
We were both awkward kids growing up. And I even in my young age, I was identifying with them. Like, okay, I'm different. I'm fucking different here, and I'm taking shit for it, right? And she was different, and I really was invested in that aspect of her character. And read the book after I saw the movie, of course, and just watching what happened to her, it was like, oh fuck, dude, she's not going to get a break. But then, as we've already discussed, real justice happens. real
Well,
justice
the thing
happens.
with in the
Everybody
book
dies.
that's interesting
Yes.
is she has those powers because she bottles everything in, all the abuse that she gets in her emotions.
Yeah.
So the emotions manifest themselves with her telekinesis.
Mm-hmm.
That's how she has her powers. So like after she, that's the more that she bottles everything in, the more powerful she becomes.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like it's everybody's kind of like fantasy wish fulfillment thing when you were getting bullied in school. Like I wish I had powers so I could like protect myself. And
Oh,
then,
dude,
like,
I would have
she
fucked some
does.
people up
Yeah,
because I got
she
fucked
does.
with hard in school.
Yeah,
Me too.
Yeah, I would have fucking I would have ravaged somebody or
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole.
We all fantasized
Room
about
full of
that.
people.
I think. We all
And
fantasized.
that's why
about
that movie's a classic.
Oh, it's totally. I mean, it really does hit you in the gut, and I really did understand that. Like that anger, that rage, that frustration.
You know what's funny though? I don't think you could make this movie now.
I don't
Hell
think you
no.
could either because
Because-
of how it ends.
Yeah, I think that there would be a real public outcry about all this violence taking place in a high school. I think they would try to alter it somehow, change the story so that's not the setting or that didn't
Well,
happen.
they remade it a few years ago when it was
That was good with oh my god,
Chloe
Grace Moretz, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was probably 7 or 8 years ago now.
Who played
I
her
think.
mother? Juliana Moore.
Juliana
played
Moore.
her
Yeah.
mother. She was
Yep.
great.
Yeah,
They were pretty good.
Yeah,
she was the best part of the movie.
I was
Again.
hesitant to watch that. Amber got a copy, and I'm like, okay, I'll sit down. I know what the movie's about. Let's see it.
Right.
And I did enjoy it. It was cool. I mean, it wasn't. It just doesn't. It isn't gonna. That to me, Carrie is such an iconic film. Just how it looked, how it felt, the blood, for God's sake. Just that watching that camera, the camera where they just had it sitting there with that bucket just kind of jostling.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, dude, this is on its way. This is gonna suck.
Yeah.
Just watching that thing just.
It's very suspenseful.
Yeah, it's really suspenseful. You just will never be able to duplicate. It's just one of them things, like that 80s stuff. This is 76. I'm sorry. Just that era. You just can't get that look. I mean, we could probably go on all night about Carrie. It's such an amazing, fantastic.
We could probably do a full episode on Carrie.
Yeah, we should someday.
One of these days.
Well,
One
they
of these
did.
days.
There's another remake too. They did in 2002.
Yeah.
The
I think
TV, one?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that
Didn't
one.
see
I didn't see that one.
It wasn't
either,
very
but I
good. I've seen
remember.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now, chronologically here, I guess we're going that way. So,
We're going to 1980 now.
The Shining,
The Shining. Okay.
which is the only other Stephen King book I've read, and
Yeah.
because of the movie, and I liked the movie more.
Well, no, that's
The Shining to
Book
this
was
very
good
day,
though.
it is a total mind fuck.
it's yeah.
Sure is, but
It's
I
one of
mean,
those
that's-
perfect movies.
There's like, it's kind of like almost boring to talk about because what are you gonna say that's bad? You're bitter.
Yeah, I don't really think there is anything bad
Yeah.
to say about The Shining.
No, I mean, I've seen it. So that's one of those movies I visit that like once a year.
You got to.
You gotta go back to it.
You got to.
I can see it in my brain right now. Just the frozen Jack Nicholson, for example, like those visuals, like you just see him after being frozen solid basically all night. Just the look,
Scary.
it messes me up. And just in that movie, there was plenty of disturbing imagery, but really, if you watch how that movie moves along, there's not too many shockers in the film. It's just a story that
It's
kind
just
of
like this pervasive feeling of dread.
yeah.
Like
yeah.
the entire movie, just something is wrong, but you can't put your finger on, especially like the first time you watch it.
Yeah.
You just, something is off.
And
you know?
there's just little things that you don't notice right in the first viewing. You got to just keep, watching. And it's just a lot of little weird, little creepy things.
Yeah. Well, as we've
Little
said,
nuggets.
I mean, this movie's so iconic, also, and good. I mean, there's been documentaries made about the damn movie itself.
But Stephen King hates this movie. He despises
Yeah,
this movie.
yeah.
He likes the that made-for-TV miniseries they did in the 90s.
because he thinks
with
it's more
the
true
Wings
to
guy.
the actual
Yeah.
story.
I know that
Which it was,
Kubrick-
from what I remember.
Yeah, the visual effects sucked ass
Yeah,
though,
they did.
and they did those stupid
The
beast.
topiary.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
in the book.
Yep.
But Kubrick and Stephen King did
Didn't-
not
yeah, they didn't
see
get
eye to eye.
No.
Yeah, not at all. If you watch the movie Room, I can't remember what it's called.
237?
237.
Yeah.
Yep.
They go really deep into this stuff
I still need to see that.
and how Kubrick was like literally doing shit in the movie just to piss off Stephen King.
Well, Kubrick, like he was very intense director.
yeah.
the actress
Kelly Duvall.
Kelly Duvall. He
Shelley,
basically
yeah.
Shelley Duvall. He made her have a
Shelley.
nervous breakdown
Yeah,
on
you,
set. Like she was like literally had PTSD from that movie.
Yeah.
Like for
he got
years
the
and years.
performance out of her.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right, but,
But Kubrick
Yeah.
is notorious for
Yeah.
like he's
Oh, yeah.
one of the hardest directors to work for actor wise, and he would push everybody to their absolute limits to get what he wanted from them.
Yeah.
And he's very particular. He's very methodical. He's very attention to detail.
Perfectionist.
And that's why The Shining's so fucking good. Is that's Kubrick's style, you know?
There's-
And the funny thing is, it's weird to me that Stephen King doesn't like it. I think maybe, like you said, it's just like leftover saltiness from them not getting along when
Yeah.
he was making it. And that was when Stephen King was like really at his zenith, on his way up to like his height of popularity. So Stephen King's probably like, I'm fucking Stephen King. Who are you to like change my stuff? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And Kubrick's like, well, I'm fucking, Stanley Kubrick. Who are you to tell me how to
and,
make my movie?
and this is this is only the third thing he's had adapted too, so
Yeah.
I'm sure it was pretty frightening for him to lose control like that.
There's some documentary material on the DVD that I have of The Shining that I did watch. Going to your point about Shelley Duvall, they show some just stock just back footage of them shooting,
Right.
and her and him just going like, what? She's like, what the fuck? How many times do I have to do this? What do you want me? Like her yelling at him,
Yeah.
going, what am I supposed to do here? I'm just supposed to open the door. What do you want me?
And he's doing it on purpose,
Right.
Yeah.
to make her a nervous wreck,
Yeah.
so that it would show in her performance, which it does. She's absolutely fantastic in it.
Yeah,
like
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more you can say about this. Another one of those, like, this is just a great movie.
This is just one of those movies, like it's like in that upper echelon with like The Thing in
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the first Star
Yeah.
Wars and obviously 2001. Like this is in that top 10 tier of greatest movies of all time.
Absolutely.
I would agree.
Easily.
Agree 100%.
Easily.
What's next on the list here? 'Cause I have my list, but I don't want to screw this up. I don't have the TV movies
Creep show.
Creep Show, buddy.
as far as the movie. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm right again. Excellent, cool.
Yeah.
My list is solid. Creep Show. Didn't we do a show on Creep Show?
Yeah, we did George Romero's show, so that's
Okay,
how we
yeah.
talked about Creep Show.
Well, I don't think we should. I mean, awesome.
Well, we could just talk about it a little bit because it
Yeah.
just recently had a really nice Blu-ray release from Shout Factory.
Okay.
And I think, you can just glance over it or gloss over it. It's like, anthology style. Stephen King, I believe, wrote the screenplay, I want to say.
Yes.
George Romero directed, and then we all know Stephen King's in one of the episodes as
Third episode,
Yeah.
the third story.
got meteor shit.
Meteor shit.
I think it's a great anthology. It's like one of
fantastic.
It's just like all the stories are really solid. It really encapsulates that like graphic novel look. It looks comic booky
it's
as
everything.
far as the lighting is concerned and the like framing and blocking and stuff. It feels very comic book esque, like EC Comics, which is like where it's the inspiration came from, which are like some of my favorite comics.
All the stories are absolutely solid, as
Mm-hmm.
you said. There's not one weak link in this, in the style of film that was made, how this movie was made. And the thing I always like to go back to is, the first one, Father's Day.
Yeah.
The movie opens up with just the cemetery, and I forgot the actress's name, but she's sitting there giving that speech to her dead father, and it honestly, man, that's still tear jerking to this day. Like, it was. I mean, that was such a great performance she did. Her delivery was insane, and she just go like, you called me a bitch, this whole thing, really angry, like, she was abused verbally, mentally, by this man, and you're thinking, well, I got you, you're dead now, right? And then the hand comes out of the ground. It's like, holy shit, where'd this come from, man? First viewing of that's just that's what? Where are we going with this thing? We get to see Ed Harris dance.
Yeah,
too. Just
terribly.
dance into a phone, like literally danced into answering a phone, which is one of my favorite moments in that entire movie. Is watching Ed Harris kind of go and put the phone. I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, that whole thing is just, it's incredible. It's probably one of my favorite. Like, I guess you can put that into horror. It's a horror film, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
Easily one of my favorite horror movies. Just
Absolutely.
So much, the Crate. Oh God, man! You're gonna hold your not that, the other one. You're gonna hold your breath. I mean, it's just everything. Every one of those things just puts a hook in you, and it don't let go. So, yeah, can go all day about that movie. Fantastic, amazing.
We could
one.
do an episode on this one too.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
This is a tough episode, man. There's just these are all like, I'm looking at this list. I'm like, these are all classics.
Yeah,
man.
this is like
These are
his
all
really
classics.
good era is 70s and 80s King.
Yeah.
I like to call it the Coke era of King. That's when he was like really snorting a lot of Coke and drinking. But man, he wrote some good ass shit
Oh, yeah.
when he was on Coke.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's why his books be like 3,000 pages long. He was just fucking snorting Coke and
Going
I
on.
got
gotta-
some
can't
ACDC
stop
on the background, just
typing.
fucking typing shit up.
I can't stop. I can't stop.
Just fucking going, dude. He was writing a book like every other month. It seemed like, didn't it? Like
Oh,
big
yeah.
door fucking
Yeah.
stop books.
Stephen King could do no wrong in this era. I mean, as far as his books and the movies, just look at all this. I mean, people were grabbing on. I mean, I bet you a lot of this stuff, as we go along here, there was movies planned before the damn book came. Like, okay, well, the book's going to come out, but we already got the movie in the
Yeah.
works here. Like, just give us the source material and we'll just start getting it figured out. I mean, it was moving that quick for him. I mean, I don't
It's
think
just incredible how prolific he is.
Yeah.
Like people kind of, I see a tendency to people kind of talk down on Stephen King. He's like my favorite writer, and
I think a lot of people just became dismissive because
so
as
much.
the movies started to come out like later towards the 90s, like we're not going to really get into it, but like when they started doing like Dreamcatcher and shit
Yeah.
like that, I think that's when people started to go like, enough's enough. This movie sucks,
Yeah.
and nobody's making good adaptations anymore.
Yeah.
there was
but
it
this
was a
era-
dark period.
Yes, for sure.
What's next?
Well, The Boogeyman was a short in '82, but the next big release
Roof rough.
was Woof Woof.
No.
They should have called it Woof Woof.
That'd
Oh,
been- that'd
I
been
was like
cool.
woof woof. Oh, Cujo.
Cujo.
Cujo. Yeah.
Yeah, Cujo was next.
Man.
You know, what a
Ugh.
fucking terrifying premise. Seriously.
Original. I mean, what an idea.
yeah.
First off.
Yeah.
That poor dog. That poor fucking dog.
Poor D. Wallace.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Stephen King's really good at writing these situational stories where it all takes place in like one room or one area. And Cujo's kind of like a story like that where they're just like stuck in the car with the dog and they're trying to get out and
Yeah.
like it's like he's very good at writing like things that could happen in real life but that are terrifying, but he puts his little King edge on it to make it
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
And rabies seemed to be like a scarier thing in the 80s, or what
They
year is
were
this? What year is
huge.
this? 1980?
It was 83.
83?
Rabies were like the big, dog. Like, I remember my folks and relatives all like,
If you're going to
you
get
get-
rabies,
yeah.
you're going to have to get 50 shots in
Yeah,
your
no,
stomach.
Yeah,
Oh,
the shots
yeah.
in your
Yeah.
stomach thing.
Yeah.
like, and you could get rabies from anything. Like, I stepped on a nail. They're like, you're going to get rabies. Or,
Like
get
what?
bit by a dog. You're going to get rabies.
Don't walk by that squirrel.
I'm going to get lockjaw, not rabies. Fuck off.
Rabies were like this huge thing. You're right. Like in the 80s, it was this big scare.
Yeah.
And this movie obviously just exemplified that. It's been a long time since I've seen Cujo, but it really leaves an imprint on you regardless. And the thing is that you see this dog, in the beginning, this dog's just this cool, innocent dog. And that's the thing is, to me, is like just this amplifies the innocence of animals, dogs and cats and pets, right? And then we see what happens, and then this thing becomes this just ravenous creature. It's a complete opposite of what he originally was. So you get this really back in Jekyll and Hyde effect,
Yeah.
basically, and just the way they made the dog up too, like in the movie, like just the mucus,
Yeah,
like,
foamy.
he was getting, but he was just starting to get covered, like
Yeah.
over, like worse and worse, and just gross. Just
Josie just said he was a good boy, just curious about bats.
So,
He's got a cameo in Cat's Eye too.
oh really?
Yeah,
No
yeah.
kidding. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
in the very beginning.
But Cujo's another one of those, like, it's just a really good film. Really, I mean, a really weird, interesting premise that was explored, and yeah, freaking terrifying. Like, what do? You have no help. How are you getting out of here? How do you work this out? What do you do?
That's why I would never have a dog I couldn't just kick the shit out of. Like, if it went crazy. Like, I will never have a dog that's more powerful than me, like, potentially. Is that weird? I don't know.
No. It's
Only 5 pounds and below dogs for me.
It's practical.
Like, what if it has rabies and I have to be able to kick it? Like, that's just that's how I pick that's how I pick dogs.
Sorry, dog.
That's how I pick all my pets. Can I take them if they go crazy?
No, well, it's
Probably rational.
it's rational.
Yeah.
I mean, you should be able to overpower your pet, I guess. I that does, you know, I mean, that does take you down that discussion though of, you know, I know pit bulls. I mean, they were talking about a scare in the 90s,
Yeah.
man. Pit bulls, like, oh my God, that was the scariest thing ever. And as we go along, we learn they're innocent animals like anything
Yeah,
else. And
yeah.
you just get a bad stigma. But they're powerful animals though too, and if they're provoked, you know, it can get dangerous for you. So speaking as a man right now, and we know
You're not a man, though.
I know I'm not a man. But I've always been, and I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine last week with dogs, especially. I'm like, you know, you don't own that animal. You don't own that animal. Like, my dog. I'm the master.
Yeah.
And everything like that.
Yeah.
First off, that animal is its own creature.
Right.
Okay, you're responsible for that animal. You're under that animal's under your care, right? But that animal don't belong to you, and you are not its master. And that's that bullshit. Why am I turning this political? But whatever. It's a bullshit machismo idea that just really needs to stop. And you know that really, especially in the current state of my life, which we've discussed, Michelle and Chris, we've discussed also. I'm thinking a lot about that stuff, and yeah, that's one of those things. Like that animal, that meat of that animal is that animal's. That don't belong to you.
Yeah.
Right. And that idea really bums me out. So but then we see in Cujo. You know, that kind of just ties in with these ideas. Like, yeah, well, this animal turned on you, and maybe you aren't so tough after all. Now, this wasn't the case with the characters, but we see this with men. And I'm going to just say men, because they're the only ones I see doing this shit.
The cool thing to me about Cujo is, you know, this is like survival horror at its core.
Yeah.
Like literally woman and child versus massive beast.
Yeah.
You know, it's a thriller. Yes, it's horror, but it's pretty goddamn scary.
But I think it takes you down those ideas like maybe we aren't the masters. We're not. I mean, there's a lot of things I think on this planet, not just dogs, that could just look at you the wrong way and your guts fall right out. You know, it's over with. So
yeah,
it makes me think about our place in the food chain here. And Cujo proved to us that that's not, you know, that maybe we aren't the top of the food chain. We're not in charge. So anyways,
I didn't really realize that 83 was such a big year for him because he had three huge movies.
Yeah, 3.
Cujo, and then the next one, The Dead Zone, and after that, Christine. So, The Dead Zone.
It's crazy. Christopher Walken. Damn.
Dead Zone is fantastic.
Great flick.
Like one of the top 5 for
Yes.
me Stephen
Great
King
flick.
adaptations. Christopher Walken is like really good in it. It's also like weirdly prophetic of the Trump presidency.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Who plays president? Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen plays the president, and like he's basically a Trump style.
He's cult of personality.
Yeah, cult of personality, Trump style president that like is literally like crazy and can fly off the handle and is like weirdly religious and all this other stuff, you know. And as we all know, Christopher Walken touches him, shakes his hand and a thing, and like sees him like basically starting World War III. So it's like this really interesting morality play. Like, if you know the future, is it okay for you to murder somebody if they actually haven't done the thing wrong yet?
Yeah.
You know, like Minority Report or whatever.
Yep.
But it's just like so well done, and Christopher Walken's like so cool looking. He's got his big fucking Christopher Walken hair. He's got that like pimp ass jacket with the big high collar that comes out like the little wings. He's so iconic looking in it. Like, he's just, everything about that movie is so incredibly stylish. It's Cronenberg, right?
Yeah, it's Cronenberg.
So it's like you know, immaculately directed, and it's just like so well done.
Well, it wasn't just the presidency with Martin Sheen. That was the big,
the crux of it.
The crux of it. But we got to see the result of these powers he acquired. The ice is gonna break.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is like that's just he whacks that, and I love this scene because he just like destroys that. He destroys that figurine with his cane, and and he's like, "You need to get out of here." He's like, "Look, I'm really sorry about that, man. I'm sorry, but the ice is gonna break." And well, obviously we see what happens.
Yeah.
This is funny. We've talked about Christopher Walken having a watch in his ass now 3 weeks in a row.
I didn't say anything about the ice.
I just did.
Oh, did you? I didn't hear that.
Again.
Stop saying.
I hope we can fit it in next
Can we
week.
leave Christopher Walken's ass alone one show?
Fit it in.
No.
But no, Christopher Walken, his delivery in this movie, it was classic Christopher Walken.
Because he's kind of like an off-kilter looking guy in general.
Yeah.
Just like his persona. So he's like perfect for the neurotic kind of character that he plays, where he's like, you can see the future, but he can't, nobody believes him. Kind of. They kind of do, but they kind of don't. Like, it's just like so well done. And it's like a tragedy too, obviously, because, he has to like, give his life to save.
Yeah. But
like
he does
us.
a lot. He does a lot before that. That's what I
Yeah.
like about it. They catch a murderer. He saves children, a child. He does some really beautiful things with the gift he got, right? And then the ultimate sacrifice at the end.
Right.
That's what it was. That's why I love that when he's laying there at the end, it's just kind of like, I'm cool.
Yeah.
This is the best thing I could have done in my life, because you see the character where he just John. That's his name. He's so frustrated after the accident, and he's through all this. And there's that scene where the cop shows up and says, "Hey, can you help me with this thing?" And he's, "My legs don't work, and I can't.
Yeah.
My whole life's destroyed." So has this frustration, and I think through that frustration, he does find a way to make something good come of that, and use what he where he was where he was in his life.
Use his talents to do good.
Yeah, do something good, something positive. So to me, it's just the Dead Zone. I know
It's
it's
almost
like a really heavy
superhero story.
Yeah. It's a heavy title. It kind of.
I mean, this could be crossed with like the Shyamalan, like
Yeah,
glass
totally.
and split type thing.
Yeah, Unbreakable.
Yeah.
I think it was billed differently. Like I said, you see the cover work for it and the title. It always seemed a lot more. Oh my God, this is gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
And it is a crazy film, but it's to me it's a good story. It's a beautiful story. So yeah, Dead Zone, Christopher Walken, can't touch it, and fantastic.
All right, Mara, you take us into the next one.
Yes.
Christine.
Little movie they
The
did.
movie about the obsessive car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was the
and,
star of that? I forgot his name. I always forget the guy's name.
Yeah,
He was in a bunch.
I don't know.
He was in
who
Back
that
to
is off the top of
School.
my head.
It was Keith Gordon.
Thank you. Don't hear from him very much anymore. Great
No.
movie. Another. I mean, these are all hits. You can't really, we're not. None of these really. Go ahead, Mara.
Well, Christine had a huge impact. I mean, there's so much stuff that like I remember from my childhood that I didn't even know was like a parody or like a throwback to it, if you want to say.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like as I grew up, I realized that it was all based on that movie. Like the thing I always think about is the Weird Science TV show. And there's an episode where it's like completely based on Christine.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, and that was the first intro to that, honestly, in the 90s.
Special effects wise,
And I never saw Christine.
the movie.
You've never seen
No.
Christine?
Nope.
Oh man,
Oh,
I think Tom Savini did the special effects. for
yes,
that
he
movie.
did.
did he?
Yeah.
Which well,
There are so many movies on my like list to watch.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of them that's just been on there for years, and just no reason I haven't. It's just
yeah. The special effects with the car itself, the car is just ravaged through the whole movie, and some of those scenes they just show where the car is just literally making itself better again. Like I don't know any other way to say it. Like it's just fixing itself.
Yeah.
oh, Christine makes a cameo also in Cat's Eye. I just watched Cat's Eye today.
Sweet.
But yeah, the special effects on that I thought were really cool. The way they did the car would just save itself.
Yeah.
And I mean the main points here with that is just we have this adversary now, like Cujo was kind of going back to that, like something you don't expect to become an enemy.
Your
But
car.
Your car, right? It is an enemy because you have to pay for it and fix it and stuff breaks. But I mean, you don't expect it to try to kill you. So,
No, of course not.
No.
My car's my baby.
well, I don't know nowadays with cars, and maybe they are. I think they are designed to kill you. That's just a side note, but it's also a coming of age story. That's. I think we all know that. We're all old enough to know that now. That the vehicle, your first car, that's like your first thing of freedom. Like to me, it was at least like getting a car. It was like, wait, I can get in this car
And go
and
somewhere.
go somewhere, like, and not have to walk or ride my bike and spend half the day getting there. I can get there in like 10, 15 minutes. That's freedom, man.
You can
Yep.
say, fuck you, Mom, and just go off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you run out of gas and you gotta call them for
And
help.
then you're like, Mom, can I have some money?
yeah, exactly. Like, I don't have money for this.
My
tub
mom's
of
like, "What the
shit."
fuck did you just say? Did you just say fuck you, mom? Well, fuck you, kid."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it to my mom's face. I'd be driving away saying
Oh,
it.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
My
She
mom's
wouldn't
pretty
know.
nice, so I never really had to say that.
Yeah.
Luckily.
But that's your first thing of freedom. I think you get as a kid, and that's what this movie was about. Like, oh, I got a car.
And now it's gonna kill
Now it's
everybody I
gonna
know.
fucking kill me. But it's another movie I think that has a lot of really cool justice, though, because that car, it takes a beating from people, enemies, his enemies, right? And the car, Christine isn't putting up with that shit. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a really different, and I think that's what captivated people so much when it came out, was just like, wow, this is like a horror movie, but it isn't some monster chasing
Yeah.
people around. It's something that we see every day or we use every single.
Well, it's not a slasher,
No,
and
no.
this applied many of the slasher methods to a horror film, being hunted down, but
And John
instead
Carpenter directed this, right?
yeah.
So he,
yeah.
it's like weird that
I didn't think about that.
he's like invented pretty much slashers,
Yeah.
and then here he is making Christine.
Silly car.
awesome flick.
Yeah.
Awesome flick. Had a riot watching this. What?
The next one on the list
Yeah.
is Children of the Corn.
Oh,
Outlander.
yeah, Children of Corn's.
Yeah.
I would call that a lower tier King.
It is.
King adaptation. It's like campy though. It's corny. If you, yeah, that's right.
Oh my
Oh,
That's
Michelle
right.
and her puns.
Everybody logged off like right
the-
now.
They're like, fuck you guys.
Oh. All the momentum we had.
Ruined.
No, this is
Trash.
another one of those ones that really kind of messed me up when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like, Children of the Corn, when it came out, it really had a reputation. Like, it was like very disturbing because, again, it was a setting now.
Yeah.
Like, the setting is like the real kind of scary thing, like the corn, right?
Yeah.
We learn as the film, progresses what's really going on here. I remember this is another one of them classic examples, though. Like, the original one was fantastic. I loved it. And it was campy. I
Yeah.
agree 100%. And they made, 6 other
Dude,
sequels?
there's so many.
At least. There's tons of them.
In a remake coming soon.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
God, no.
Of course.
We watched Children of the Corn over the summer. We were in Port Austin, and the kids were like, "Oh, let's watch a scary movie." The teenage kids. I'm like, "Oh, let's watch Children of the Corn." In literally the entire movie, they're just cracking up. They're like, "Dad, this isn't scary at all. This is what? Why do you think this is scary?" I'm like, "They killed their parents and
Yeah.
they're taking over the town.
It's a
and
cult, man.
Yeah.
The devil and Malachi and all this shit." Nope. Nobody was scared at all. It is pretty corny. Really, it is.
I
It's
rewatched
cheesy.
it like last year because I bought the Arrow of it, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't seen this in a really long time." And I was like, "God, this is way goofier than I remember." Like, it's just like the concept is scary. Like, like kids killing a whole town and taking over, and what do they call it? He who lives behind the rose or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's kind of like this Lovecraftian like thing going on where there's like some kind of like demon behind, all the stuff. But the way it's like executed is like just goofy as hell. The kid that plays Malachi is great though. He's overacts so hard. And he's just fantastic.
This was on my Hulu. It's on Hulu right now, and it was on my list, and I was gonna watch it today, and I didn't get a chance.
Children of the
You'll
Corn.
like
kinda
it.
wish I had.
Just have like 2 beers, maybe
Yeah.
possibly 4, like before you watch it.
Maybe 8.
Or like
8.
it's legal now in Michigan, so you can smoke a little devil's
smoke a little.
lettuce.
But
Wanna
I
get
have to
high?
gift it to
Smoke a
you.
little romaine.
Yeah.
Little parsley.
Little
A
parsley.
little naughty oregano.
Hey.
But yeah, it has to be gifted to you. So
Oh, right.
don't ask me to sell you any.
Yeah.
Christmas is coming.
that's right.
South Park has tipped the hat to Children of the Corn a couple different times.
Yeah.
There's a lot of iconic things that people remember from it, but most people, if you ask them like specifically about the movie, they don't really remember it, but they just remember like little bits and
I just
pieces.
saw Outlander.
from it.
Outlander!
Yeah.
I was like what? Outlander! We have your woman!
Yeah, we have your
Fucking
woman.
awesome, dude. That's the same guy, that kid, and then the redheaded kid. I always forget his name. He was in
Malachi.
That was a Malachi.
Malachi's the little kid with the
Little-
brown hair.
Yeah,
He's like
the,
the
the
little.
redheaded kid. I forgot his name. He was in Colors.
Yeah,
he played one of the gangsters in Colors too. Yeah, I love this flick. I really love the original. I've really watched all the sequels, and
Isaac was the smaller guy.
Isaac was a smaller guy.
Malachi was the crazy ass redheaded dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry.
You better be, motherfucker.
Dude, okay, I stand corrected. Boy, how's it feel to be right?
It
that
feels
good?
great.
Does it feel good?
Yeah.
Feel alive?
I love it.
Fucking prick. All right, moving along. Yeah, Killer Corn, great flick, totally cool. Yeah, totally worth a watch. Yeah, Mara, maybe 2 beers.
2.
Yeah, you want to be able to retain something from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise you might not.
And I'd make that like 2 Coronas, something light. You don't want to go any IPA because
Get a lime.
I'm excited. I'm gonna probably watch it tomorrow.
you'll enjoy
Yeah.
it. You'll totally enjoy it. So moving along, 1984,
Firestarter.
Firestar. I watched this today. I couldn't get that stupid Prodigy song out of my
I
head.
know,
It's
right?
driving me nuts. I was watching the movie. Yeah. Edward C. Scott is in this flick. And to me, a really, really interesting role he played. Actually, you've seen it before. I know you've seen it, Michelle. Yeah.
I have I think the Shout Factory.
George C. Scott.
Oh, God.
I'm going like, what's happening here?
I'm just fucking shit in the bed today. I'm sorry. George C. Scott. I should know better. His role is really kind of funky. That's where I remember this movie sits near and dear to my heart because it was the first time I heard the word necromancer.
Ooh.
And I'm like, the horse.
Yeah.
Like, what's the name of the horse? His name is Necromancer. And I'm like, that sounds fucking tough as fuck, dude. And, I'm like, fucking metal as shit, dude. And of course I grab him, and I figure out what a necroman. I'm like, yeah, it's metal as shit,
Started a
man.
band called Necromancer.
Yeah, I did. I no shit, no kidding. I got in trouble in junior high because I was drawing a logo inside one of my. This is no bullshit. I can remember this like it was yesterday. I actually made a logo set Necromancer, and I was like, "This is the band I'm going to start someday when I actually learn how to play a fucking instrument and shit." And I remember I got yelled at and got in trouble. My parents had to pay money because of that, because of that stupid movie, because of Firestarter, man. Really cool flick. God, okay, seeing that I'm not doing names. Really
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
Drew
very
Barrymore.
young.
Yeah, but the father,
It's
real hunk.
a real hunk. It's God damn it, David Keith.
Thank you. Don't see him very much anymore.
Heather Locklear was in this movie too.
Yeah, she was. She was Mama.
Yeah.
With her-
Firestarter is another, I would say, a little bit lower tier King movie. Like, it's okay. The ending is fucking awesome.
Yeah, the ending's
Like
intense.
the ending is like worth the price of admission because it's like fucking cool and she's like throwing fireballs and like all this crazy shit. And I always loved how like her hair would like blow around when she was using her powers. I always thought that was cool.
Hey, fanboy, get over here. She's gonna start blowing shit up again. Direct the fan at her hair.
It was just a cool little visual representation of like, something that you would normally be able to see her powering up her powers. It's almost like Dragon Ball Z-esque.
Yeah.
Like she's going Super Saiyan or something. Like her hair is like.
But this is an interesting tie-in to Carrie, though.
It is. 'Cause
You
they're very
think about
similar.
that. Because I remember we all said the same thing about Firestar. We're like, man, I'd love to have that power just
Yeah.
to burn people if they pissed me off. It's the same idea. She's much younger than Carrie, but there's still, I think, especially with little girls, I think there's still that anxiety that you're awkward. You're growing up.
Yeah.
You're a biomechanical furnace, literally in this case. So this is another one of those ideas of that. I think that Stephen King, when he wrote that stuff, he was trying to express that again too. I enjoyed it. I thought I watched this one today. I had to refresh myself. This was honestly, this was one of those ones too. Like, and I think this is '84. I think even then I was starting to get like, okay, another Stephen King movie.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he started seeing his name.
Everywhere. And it's like, and then we're like, and Firestarter. It wasn't a. I don't think. Would you consider this a horror movie?
Maybe like sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
Yeah,
more,
sci-fi slash
Thriller,
horror, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this was like as dark. I mean, it was a dark film,
Yeah.
but it didn't just have the darkness of all the previous films we've talked about. And I think that's what may have turned me off initially. I didn't really, go after this movie when it first came out.
I loved this movie when it first came out.
I
But-
didn't go after it. It took me a few years to finally sit down with it. like I said, I did enjoy it. George C. Scott. I
Edward.
think his character.
I'm going to get you a T-shirt that says Edward C. Scott on it.
Fuck you. I think his character was the most interesting character in the movie because there's some speeches he delivers. Ooh.
Yeah.
Some monologues.
Oh man! Oh my goodness! That stuff, and that's Martin Sheen's in this flick also, and he walks out of the room in one scene. He's like, "You're really crazy,"
Yeah.
and he walks out. It's like, holy shit! But yeah, it's a cool flick.
It almost makes you feel like it's almost a little kind of like Scanners.
Oh yeah,
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like, because they have all these mental powers and they can like make people do stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
because her dad's got the different powers and she does, right?
yeah. He's just got he can just tell people what to do.
Yeah.
He's got the Jedi mind trick.
It's also like kind of plays into because like Stephen King's got like a shared universe, whatever. It reminds me a little bit of The Shining. Like it's like that. And Stephen King's universe is going a little bit later into stuff like in Dark Tower and stuff like those people that have those powers, they have them for a reason. Like they're tapping into something called the beam. They're tapping into something in Stephen King's universe that gives them powers, and it manifests itself in different ways.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the kid in The Shining and Firestarter, like they have these powers because they're like tapping into like this unseen force within the King universe, which he doesn't really solidify till later, obviously. But like it's just interesting, like they're kind of connected in that way. Like these people that have these powers have them for a reason, which I always thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Mara, you can take us into the next one because you just watched this one.
Yeah, Cat's Eye, which again with Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
And I love this movie, and I wanted to rewatch it so I could talk about it really good for tonight, because now the thing I really love about it is that the cat is the star of the movie, and literally it's all through his point of view. Only bad thing I can say is, well, it's an anthology, so you got the 3 short stories. The second one is lagging to me, personally. Have any of you seen this?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's like
Years
the
ago.
first
The
one.
Ledge? Is that the
The first
second
one's
Yeah.
The Quitters Inc., and that's with
Yeah.
James Woods, and that one is if you smoke.
Oh yeah. Okay, now it's all
If
coming back to me again.
you have ever, if
Holy
you smoke and you've ever
shit.
thought about quitting, or if you smoked and you quit, like myself, it's really effective.
Oh,
it is so
dude.
effective.
Yeah.
You watch that, you want a cigarette so bad, and like. And the thing that like I thought when I watched it today is that it's really interesting because what they do is he pretty much he takes his wife, puts her in this room and shocks her.
Oh,
if
it's
he has a
crazy.
cigarette.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then it goes up and up to the point where it's like if you mess up, I think up to 4 times, they just come and kill you.
Yeah.
And I thought about it when I smoked cigarettes, and my mom and dad, but my dad still smokes. My mom smoked. She passed away, and she passed away from cancer, and she really wanted me to quit smoking.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. After she died, I was really stressed out, and I watched that movie, and I was like, oh man, quitting smoking. No, I can't. I'm just smoking cigarettes the whole time. Like I first watched that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's been years now since I quit, and I watched it, and I'm like, it's interesting because literally, if he smokes, he's hurting his family. And
That's right.
if he keeps smoking, he's going to eventually die. And figuratively as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
that will happen to you if you smoke. Even if you're not paying that guy to do that for you.
It's
Right.
just a thread that runs through the whole thing. It all ties together.
Yeah.
That idea you're talking about. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
and it's just like, and then the cat is just thrown into it. And then it's,
I think they really shocked a cat too.
I hope they didn't.
I feel like they did. I've read that somewhere. 'cause
That
it's
part of the
80s main
movie
character.
really upsets me.
I'm pretty sure they really did shock it. They just didn't care back in the 80s about
when
that
I
stuff.
see that, I just want to start like punching.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure you know the sordid tale of Milo and Otis.
Milo and Otis.
Yeah.
the movie
well,
Milo and Otis.
I've never seen Milo and Otis.
Don't.
Oh, does everybody die and all the dog and cats? die
No,
in or something?
the dog and cat in the movie live, quote unquote, but there were quite a few Milo and Otises because they would just like throw them off the cliff to get them to like jump
Oh.
off a cliff. And
Oh, Jesus.
Jeez.
yeah, it was. I forgot where it was made. Not in America.
Fucking depressing.
I don't want to throw any other countries under the bus, but it was not in the USA. That
Well,
this movie
you know
was
what? You
made.
can throw the USA under the bus because nobody respects us anymore.
No, I know.
anyways.
I know, but it wasn't made here. But anyway, yeah. That upsets me.
Quitters Inc. was
And then-
oh God, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, I'm gonna shut up. I need a break anyways.
No,
I'm go over here.
I was gonna move on to the next one.
Well,
so
Quitters Inc. No, what this really left an impression on me too. I remember seeing this vividly now, and the whole smoking thing. I mean, there was all these little scenes like him being stuck in traffic.
Oh,
And
God.
just being bored out of it. He's like playing with the radio, trying to do something to occupy his time. And he just, he finally just gave up. And there's a guy next to him. Like, this is Quitters Inc., man. They don't fuck around.
That's
They're like
the
the
guy who saw him.
FBI.
Yeah.
And the guy saw me. He's like, hey,
Waving.
smile. Took off.
Yep.
Took off. Right?
And the
yeah.
traffic is like the worst when you're trying to quit.
The traffic. I mean, there's the party scene I remember too, where it's like the guy starts hallucinating, like just freaking out. You see, people are just like whole packs in their mouth, like
He imagines like an actual like box of cigarettes like walking towards him. And
Yeah.
The kids are smoking.
Yeah.
It's really how you feel when you're trying to quit. It really does seem like every person's smoking.
That really left an impression on me.
Oh, yeah.
That
It's very impressionable.
Yeah, super
James
cool.
Woods, he's great. He's got like a great, just
Yeah.
expressive face that just
yeah.
I love him.
I have a crush on sleazy 80s James Woods. He's so, like, just freaky deaky looking. I don't
He's
know.
a real prick in life, though.
I don't care.
Yeah,
He's hot. I'd do
I've
him
read-
still. I'd
I've
do him
read
now.
some sassy interviews with him.
I'd be like, say
bad.
terrible things to me. Yeah.
I heard he's a Mensa. True. All right, so there was, and then there was the ledge.
The ledge is with Robert Hayes, and he's like scaling a ledge because he's slept with that guy's wife, and I don't know.
I remember this one.
Yeah, it's very forgettable. It's kind of suspenseful a little bit just because he's on a ledge. But again, it's kind of like the cat's just like watching it, and they capture him, and the cat's just, and I feel like the inclusion of the cats kind of doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just watching. It's just
a cool perspective. It
Yeah.
offers something different, you know.
But to me, that segment really is just it kind of it would almost ruin it for me if the first and the second one or first and last one weren't so good.
Yeah.
The second one reminds me of like a bad Tales from the Crypt almost. I don't love it. And then the last one, of course, is the best with Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because through the whole movie, it kind of seems he's like seeing all these kids and they all look like her, and she's like saying, "We need your help. You need to help us." And so it's almost like the whole point of the cat's journey is to get to that girl to save her. And it's an interesting story about really parents not listening to their children. Something horrible's happening to this little girl,
Yeah.
and they don't believe her. And then she's in danger, and then the cat saves her, and then the parents are like, "Oops, guess we should
Oh,
have been
because
listening."
this is the one where it's trying to steal her breath,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, these little trolls, those little
yeah.
creepy
Yeah.
trolls,
Yeah.
which is like
that's all-
the effects are like really cool, and it made me really nostalgic for that 80s practical effects type thing, and
Yeah, they come into the room at nighttime when she was trying to sleep.
yeah.
It's all
And then the cat breathes her breath back into her, too, like at the end.
yeah.
Oh yeah, the cat comes and licks her face. Yeah.
What was the song that plays? I always remember that as a kid. Like the
Cat's
little
Eye.
on the
That's what it's
troll.
called.
Is that what it's, the troll goes on the record player and it's like spinning around?
Oh no, it's the police. Every second
yeah,
take.
yeah, that's it.
Are we watching you? Yeah, and they play it in the Quitters Inc. too because he's being watched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was that you're right. The first and the third one in that were They were
Yeah,
awesome.
it
And I haven't seen
really
it in so
just
many years.
sad. It's like when I was like thinking about it because I was like, oh yeah, Cat's Eye. I love that movie. I definitely want to talk about it. I was like I drew a complete blank on what that second one was.
Yeah.
And then I was like, Robert Hayes is in this? Oh wow. Yeah, and I watched it, and it still didn't really leave much impression on me.
I miss Robert Hayes. He doesn't do anything anymore.
No.
Or maybe he does.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got the computer. Why don't you
I
find out,
haven't,
Chris?
I don't want to.
Looked him up in a while.
Well, Cat's Eye was cool. I can honestly say we got a DVD. No, we got a Blu-ray of that. Amber bought one. She loves that movie.
Yeah, I just love that cat.
Yeah.
The cat's a good actor.
And I just, as you were talking about this, I remember we had a Blu-ray of it too. I'm like, yeah, I should have watched that today. Damn it. But yeah, that's super cool. It all comes back to me, and yeah, that Quitters Inc. was so impressionable. I remember that being that's totally stuck out.
Yeah, it's it's really effective.
Yeah, really effective. So I don't know again if I'm on the right path here. So
Well, here's what I think we should do, because we're pretty far into this already.
yeah,
And we're going pretty in depth on each of these.
Yeah.
The first one we started with was 1976.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think we should end with 1986.
fair
That'll
enough.
be 10 years. That gives us 2 more movies. And then when we get together next time, we pick up from 1987 to
Good.
97.
Well, I don't know. You
I
better
got
run
a
that by
lot.
Michelle first. She's the one that's in charge.
I wasn't in charge. I just was letting you know what we planned.
I know.
Yes, Massa.
No, that's cool.
That's racist.
Oh.
You. What's wrong with you? No, I'm cool with that. That's fine. So what do you have on your list then? 'Cause I don't know.
racist.
That's not a movie.
I know. Michelle knows the most about this one, probably. The next one is Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah,
Oh,
watched,
yeah,
Did you watch this today?
Yeah, I rewatched it today. It's awesome. It's like
That's awesome.
it's the
awesome.
only movie that Stephen King directed. He
Thank
was
God.
super high on coke, and you have to remember. Okay, this movie's like trashterpiece. It is not like good, like well made, but it's like really fun and campy. Like it's all the cool '80s stuff. It's like fucking AC/DC did the soundtrack.
Yep.
And it's like just fucking awesome butt rock fucking anthems and shit. And then there's like trucks killing people, fucking machines killing people. Emilio Estevez is like really sweaty and like a jean vest. Like it's just all 80s stuff. That's like there's the thing with Stephen King is he has like seriously like a 10-year-old boy's sense of humor. Like the stuff he thinks is funny.
Oh, yeah.
Is like something a kid would think is funny. So it's like, you know, in the beginning, Stephen King does a cameo where he tries to take money out of an ATM,
yeah.
and then the ATM's like, "You're an asshole." It says on the screen.
That
you
was
know?
funny.
Like stuff like that. It's
I
just
like
like
that.
ridiculous.
That movie was good for like about 20 minutes.
Yeah, the premise kind of wears itself
Well,
thin
no,
after a little
it
while.
don't have a shelf life.
I got
either.
so sick of listening to AC/DC, and let me tell you, I love AC/DC, but
It'll burn you out.
Bon Scott era only.
Oh, wait a minute.
So-
Oh,
You
we're
mean
gonna
you
have a
don't like 'em with
conversation after the
Axl
show.
Rose?
Yes, we will.
Yes,
'Cause
we will. We're gonna thumb wrestle over this.
They were
Ooh.
kind of in a slump. I watched extras on it today. They were actually like in a slump, I guess, when Stephen King came to them and said, "Can you do a score?"
Yeah.
And they were like, "Sure," because they were kind of like
Yeah.
stuff they were working on wasn't going so well. And they said they had like a lot of fun like recording this stuff. Like they were just like Stephen King was like, "Do whatever you want, do whatever," and they were like, "Oh," they, you know. So they had a lot of fun. I think it fits the feel of the movie.
I think it does
perfectly.
too.
Well, it's supposed
I
to be.
was
It's supposed to be a bit more fun. I think.
I was
Yeah.
sick of the movie though. Like
I-
halfway through it. To
I've
be
been
honest.
through. I've seen it twice, and I.
We
didn't see it
made
again.
you.
I liked the
Yeah.
like the waitress in her scene
Yeah,
was awesome. I liked her.
she's just fucking going outside.
there
Oh,
were,
and they
like,
shoot
good
rocket
stuff about-
launchers.
The what?
They shoot fucking rocket launchers.
Yeah,
like,
she's
there's-
cool.
You can't have any more 80s stuff in this movie if you fucking tried. Like,
I
it's
mean,
just
there
so
was stuff I
80s.
liked about it, but like I honestly was like, it was like overstaying its welcome to me. The whole premise.
I think that
Emilio
this movie.
Estevez, I could just forget about him. I really don't like him. The girl, I didn't like the girl either. It them all being trapped at that like rest stop. It was really grimy and dirty.
What is
and-
it with Stephen King and people being trapped inside?
Thank you.
That's what I was saying. He likes
Yeah.
he likes to write stuff where like it's all like in one area because the
Mist.
is
The
like
Mist,
that
that
too.
remind- the-
under the
Dude,
dome.
It
totally.
reminded me like first. It really made me think of The Mist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a very similar premise.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't really make sense like if you start thinking about shit too hard while you're watching it like you're like there's a lot more machines that are around that they just aren't acknowledging like within the universe of the movie like all the machines come to life or whatever.
Yeah.
Like at the end they leave
Right.
on a boat that obviously is big enough to require an engine but like nobody says anything about it. Like there's just I'm sure there's more machines. But some of the machine deaths
yeah.
are fun like like that kid that gets fucking ran over by a steamroller.
Oh man.
Oh, it's so terrible.
It's
Yeah.
fucking hilarious. And the guy that gets
Ugh.
killed by like I think it was like they were playing baseball or something and it was like shooting him out.
Oh, the
Oh,
pop
right.
machine.
Yeah. And
That was a
guy
great
gets-
scene.
His
I liked-
ears get electrocuted by like his Walkman. Like all the I could tell Stephen King was just like all fucking coked out thinking of ways for like machines to kill people.
Is this a movie that he says he doesn't remember
Yes.
making? Okay.
Some people
Yeah,
say
right.
Emilio Estevez actually
Yeah,
directed
right.
it mostly, like kind of took over.
He had to.
because
I could believe
Stephen King was
that.
so cooked out he couldn't
Yeah.
remember everything.
Emilio is actually a fabulous director.
What movies has he directed?
He just did that one about the teachers, the homeless people. He's done quite a few.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this movie did spawn. Whenever I was actually doing review, I was reviewing this today. I couldn't get through the whole thing. I just wanted to just get my brain in the right place. And especially like the rocket launcher scene, I'm like, man, this looks just like Twisted Metal. Like when I used to play Twisted Metal on
Yeah.
PlayStation back in the day, it's the same idea.
I'm pretty sure one of the Twisted Metal cars is like an homage to the.
It has to be.
To the troll
Yeah.
car or whatever, the
It
goblin,
reeks of that.
Green Goblin car.
Oh yeah, it reeks of that. I mean, it's so. That's where I'm like, okay, well, there's some stuff that came out of this because it's such an outlandish movie. It was very indulgent, I think.
Yeah.
for
It was
Stephen
like
King.
Stephen King at the height of his popularity, where he could just do whatever he wanted, basically. And they were probably like thinking, like, the producers were probably like, man, Stephen King directing his own work is probably gonna be amazing because like he's Stephen
Yeah,
King,
yeah.
And then they it was not. It was
They're like,
bad.
"Oh, okay, I'm in. Okay, I'm
It was
in
like
this movie.
it was a super bomb, but apparently it got like that was also when cable TV was just coming on its own, and it got played like infinitely on cable, and it became like a
It did.
cult hit.
It's a cult flick, a total.
So
cult
that's
flick.
why it's like kind of popular now. Let's staying power, I guess.
So we move from that.
Another
Another film in '86.
Yeah, which is probably, I mean,
Man, what a heavy flick.
obviously we're changing up genres now,
Totally.
but Stand By Me, that is another one of those that kind of fits in that best movie of all time
Yeah.
That
category.
and, easily as far as Stephen King's universe and all his stuff, this is one of my top three. I'd have to say, without thinking about the whole thing really deep.
Yeah.
This movie, the first time I saw it, I watched it over and over. I just couldn't. I wanted to just watch it over and over
I
again.
think we all did.
and it was just another one of those things. I think we just really identified with this group of ruffians. Just one of those kids had to have some traits that that somebody could identify with. We had, oh my God, I'm not remembering names tonight.
River Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Keep going.
Jerry O'Connell,
Yeah.
Keep going.
Will Wheaton,
And
Corey Feldman.
thank you, Corey Feldman.
Yeah. Kiefer Sutherland as
Oh yeah, man. Give me that gun before you blow your toe off, boy.
Yeah.
And there's some.
He's a badass in that
He's
movie.
a total
Oh, yeah.
badass in that movie. Total badass.
Badass.
The whole chicken scene I thought was great because
Yeah.
I loved how that the guys in the car are like, and you see it by the they're shitting themselves and then he wins and I just love Kiefer in that scene because he just is like, I won. He just like blows
And
it off. He
and
don't
it
think anything
shows
about
you
it.
so much about that character too.
Yeah.
Because in the end there, when he's got the knife on River Phoenix, you believe this fucker could stab this kid and kill him.
He's gonna kill him. He
He's
don't care.
crazy.
Yeah.
He's crazy.
He's an outlaw.
Yeah.
He really was. I love the way the story was narrated. It's obviously, and if you see the movie, it's a story being written by another person.
right.
And so he kind of narrates through that. And that's why I love some of those, like, chopper, sick balls, stuff like that. Well, we thought we heard, I love that scene. He's like, chopper, sick him. And he's like, well, what he said, and he cuts in with the book.
Yeah.
What he said was chopper, sick him. But what we heard was chopper, sick balls. Cut the Will Wheaton. Ah! He just keeps running. I mean, it was just done so well.
And the
man.
leech scene.
Oh God,
Oh,
it's so
dude.
disturbing.
This made me think of Carrie too, because even though it's a boy, this is still a coming of age story, and he's bled out of his genitals,
Yeah.
and that was a turning point for him, and it was really scary, and everyone saw it. It was like
Well, he looks. He's like, oh shit, man.
he pulls it up, and his hand's bloody.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think it's such a good story because it's like about the journey, not the destination, and
Right.
and it's all about how they bond with each other, and then like the way it like approaches death is interesting because like they finally see the body and it's just like a dead body. It's like there's no pizzazz to it, and it's like, and then they think like, why did we even, what were we coming here for
Yeah.
to see? What were we coming to see? Like
Yeah.
the original story is called The Body. Like, so it's about like, kids accepting that death is a thing and death is final, and then that there's no, like, death isn't glamorous. You go see a dead body, it's just flesh and meat. It's just just laying there like nobody cares. Like the world goes on without you after you die.
He's got the great line. He says he wasn't hurt and he wasn't sleeping. He's just dead.
Just dead. Yeah, exactly.
I think it's more about the kids bonding than it was really.
Yeah.
That's all it was. It was
going
like
to
Michelle
find the
said, it
body.
was about the adventure. It wasn't about the getting the Holy Grail. It's
Right.
about the adventure trying to find the Holy Grail. What I found sad, but very again, I identified with that, seeing that they went through this whole ordeal. We get to see all these crazy things happen to these kids, and at the end, the story's being told to us, the rest of the story. It's like, well, after that, we hung out a couple times, but, half of us we all just kind of become other faces in the hallway. That was one of they just become other faces in the hallway in high school. And and I was really that idea just struck me, because it's like, I've been through that. Like I've been through some pretty insane stuff with certain people, and even with that gravity of a situation that I may have been in with somebody, that's somebody I don't really talk to anymore. And even at a young age, it's like, well, yeah, we did that together, but that was it.
I mean, you just think of best friends you had, where you thought you'd be best friends forever, and you just grow apart and you never see them again. And there's people that I don't even, I went to high school with, I was really good friends with, and can't remember their names or their faces, or you just get lost in time, I guess. Yeah,
that's I've had that happen. People and that really scares me. So I've had people I've bumped into people somewhere, and they see me like, oh my God, Scott, and that's the funny part. Like, hey guy,
hey.
how are ya? But then they start riffing, and thankfully sometimes this has helped me. They'll remember that shit. Now I know you, motherfucker. Yeah. Now I will say a funny thing off the side of this. I had a cable guy come to. This is when I was still in college. I had an apartment. I'll never forget this. Some guy showed up. The cable guy showed up. This guy's like, oh my God, Scott, how are you? I made coffee for us. I had an hour-and-a-half conversation with this guy, and I didn't know his name. I couldn't remember his goddamn name.
Could you remember him?
No. He was telling me shit, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I was young. I didn't know what to do. Now I'd have been like, dude, what? I'm a total piece of shit. I'm terrible with names. I'm so sorry. Dude, I apologize. But then I was embarrassed.
Yeah. Then you let it go too long, an hour into it. You're like, oh, well, now I can't ask because it's
weird. Yeah. But I literally made coffee for us. I'm like, you want some coffee? And and it was just this weird thing. I didn't remember. He left there. It's like, man, it was good to see you, brother. I'm like, yeah. I gave him a hug. I'm like, fuck. He left there. I think I talked to my mom. I'm like, I just talked to an hour and a half with somebody apparently I grew up with that I don't know their name. This is so weird. But that happens.
Yeah.
That totally happens, man. The mind's weird.
Well, memory is extremely fallible.
Man.
To a degree that people don't want to admit. But
right.
Yeah. No, my memory's shot. I know mine's done. I don't remember anything anymore. And that was what I left Stand By Me with, was just this is just one little adventure these kids went on as that group, those four souls.
Yeah.
Right. And after that, it just wasn't that big of a deal. Just something that they had. Right. We got to listen. We got to hear the rest of their story. So yeah, this movie, man, is heavy.
For sure.
Heavy.
It is.
Heavy movie, man.
It is. It's a really, really good movie. It's
beautiful movie.
I would say that again, the ensemble cast really brings it together.
Holy crap!
It's like all four of those actors there, those child actors. I looked up all their ages because I was like, they're smoking and drinking. This is child abuse. I looked it up, and they were all about 15, 16 years old. I was shocked. They all look much younger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they all look like 12, 13 maybe.
Yeah, but they they give it the emotional heft, they really do. And River Phoenix, he's a really eerie character because the whole movie they set it up like he's going to be tragic, and I'm like, how do they know River Phoenix is going to die?
Yeah.
And then it's like his character ends up dying tragically.
Yep.
But it's eerie when in that scene where he's talking about how
Oh,
We
man.
we split up, but me and him were friends for a while, and then he goes walking off, and then he disappears. It's like,
Yeah.
it makes it so much more poignant because River Phoenix died so tragically.
Well, that character, well, I mean, you said already, the character died in the film.
Yeah.
And that story really bummed me out, too.
Yeah.
Because the guy persevered. I mean, he explained that. He's like, he reluctantly put himself through law school and became a lawyer. I'm like, oh, fucking awesome.
And
Like,
the way he died too
was
was that
dumb.
he was stopping a burglary.
No, it was just a disagreement in line at
that's what it
McDonald's.
was.
He said it was just
Okay.
a disagreement. The guy pulled a knife out, and I think the guy stabbed him.
Yeah.
It was just like dumb thing. Like this guy went through all this cool shit and became a lawyer.
Yeah.
And just and it was very senseless. And you felt that like how senseless that was. Like this wonderful person who persevered through all that shit in his life,
Right.
made something of himself, just dies at a McDonald's. Dying at a McDonald's is, to me, it's just
Dude, that's
Anyway.
hell on
Low.
earth. That's
It's
just
low.
the worst.
Yeah.
Like, that's bad.
And I wish that they would, or they could, reshoot those beginning and end scenes with Will Wheaton today and have him do the over.
Oh yeah,
He'd
The
probably
overdub.
do it.
it was Richard Dreyfuss.
Apparently,
that did it, though, right?
Yeah.
he was asked a couple times, like or not asked from people to, who
Yeah,
could actually
yeah.
do something, but like
Right.
fans were
Yeah.
like, you should do it.
Yeah.
And then it was like the first thing I thought of, especially because he's like the age now that would go back and be
Right,
reminiscent.
right.
And I like him.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's a hell of an end point for this thing. That's a
Yeah.
Stand by me.
heavy,
Now we can all
heavy
go
movie.
cry.
Yeah.
That film just has weight to it. You feel it. God, man. I lost the comb. That's a great.
Oh.
All right, can we go home?
Yeah. All right, folks. This was episode 105 of Real Crime. We
Yes.
will be off next week because
We will.
it's Christmas.
Oh,
Merry
whatever.
Christmas.
Fuck it. Fuck my kids. They won't care.
Let's just do a show.
Yeah. Sorry, honey.
Everybody have a great.
Christmas is
holiday.
canceled.
We're-
We're doing
in
the
the-
Stephen King podcast.
Like in the middle of dinner, you just like get up and do a podcast. Like
Sorry, guys. I got to go in the basement and swear incessantly for 90 minutes.
No, this is a cool show. This was great. I mean, yeah, look at this. A lot of stuff to talk about.
I'm really excited to talk about The Running Man.
Oh,
Hell yeah. Yeah, there's a
We'll
lot of good stuff to talk about.
We'll be getting there. So yeah, everybody have a great holiday.
Yep.
Enjoy
Merry
your-
Christmas
have
from
fun.
us. We'll see ya, or you'll hear from us in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, maybe
Either or.
Yeah.
Good night.
Visit us at www.themoviesleuth.com and find The Movie Sleuth on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and iTunes.